Southern Company was out with first quarter results this morning. Earnings and revenue slightly below expectations. Joining us now is Tom Fanning, Chairman and CEO of Southern Company and Chair of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. What goes into your recent quarter results, Tom? What are the headwinds?
Really, it was a good quarter. It was above the estimate we gave the street. I think what you're seeing is an overall theme of an improving economy. And particularly, Joe, is interesting. From an economic development standpoint, the capital intensity of our backlog is roughly 3 times normal. So assuming we get good results in a worldwide economy and a kind of a good outcome on currency valuations, I think we could see more capital investment in the Southeast, much stronger than the rest of the United States. From an industrial standpoint, anything related to housing has been going great guns. Only dark cloud there really relates to primary metals. I think that is a function of low oil prices and a strong dollar. Residential, we're starting to see some improvement, which we haven't seen in the past, on household wealth creation. Interestingly, as the income statement of households is getting better, people aren't consuming it, they're saving it. So that's one of the things we have to watch in terms of forward economic growth.
If you were, we've had people argue that companies need to be more long-term, not short-term. Given where oil prices are right now, and given that fracking is going to continue to be something we can do in this country, long-term, what makes sense for utility companies? Nuclear, renewable, natural gas? Do you get out of coal completely? What would you do to put Southern Company in the right position 20 years from now?
I think Southern Company, among almost all the companies in our industry, is in a terrific position because we are the only company in America that is betting on the full portfolio. We're building new nuclear. We're inventing our future for coal. We're inventing a coal plant in Mississippi that has a carbon footprint less than natural gas. We've moved an enormous way to natural gas. We're one of the biggest investors in the United States in renewables, particularly solar, and we're investing in energy efficiency. You've got to play the full portfolio. Don't pick single bets in terms of this nation's energy future.
Tom, since you're on the board of the Fed, or you're involved with the Federal Reserve down in Atlanta, watching what's happening, what we're going to hear today, knowing that we're below 6% now on unemployment and maybe we get some wage gains, are you concerned that the Fed's behind the curve, or do you think they ought to stay at 0 for even longer than people think?
I think the Fed is just where they should be, to be honest with you. You know, one of the things they do very well is they listen to the different districts and they try and get real-life stories to go with the theory of where we should be on monetary policy. So when you think about it, I think they're going to be data-driven, and I think they want to take action that will be sustainable well into the future. Regular, predictable, sustainable kind of performance, I think, is what they're after.
And since you have to look at the economic environment of your region, does it feel like a 3% GDP economy right now down in the South?
Certainly the South is a little bit stronger, I think, than the rest of the United States. We're starting to see the influx of people coming back. I think that's a function of an unfreezing housing market and more kind of manufacturing taking place here than elsewhere in the United States. Now, whether it's going to get to be 3%, we've all been predicting 3% GDP growth for some time. And I know earlier on your show you were talking about how the second half of the year is typically better. It's hard for businesses to kind of bet on a hockey stick of recovery. I think we want to see real sustained improvement. When you look around the world, this is not just a domestic issue. We've got to understand kind of how the EU will evolve and then think about event risk, in Eastern Europe and in the Middle East, and what kind of transparency we see out of China. This really is a global economy, and we've got to figure out how we fit there.
So tell me, when analysts look at Southern Company, they talk about things like maybe it performs in line or slightly below in terms of growing revenue with the utility industry average. Return on equity is improving, but still could be in a better position. What are the things execution-wise or operationally that you look at every day and decide we got to do better on?
See growth. When you look at ROE, Joe, I think we're right at the top of the industry. I think the real issue for us is when you think about we've been building significant gas assets, we're reaching kind of near the end of our nuclear expansion. We're right at the end of this significant coal plant I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Our CapEx is slowing down. What we got to do is think about ways to deploy new capital effectively.
Okay. All right, Tom Fanning, thanks. Great to see you.
Great to
thanks
see
for coming
you.
on this morning
You bet.
after earnings. All right. See you later.